Hello overclockers, as you can tell we sell graphics cards and I'm going to be bold and say that we have the biggest selection of RTX 4090s in the world, or at least the UK, in stock and ready for launch day. I'm not going to unbox 1, 2 or 3, I'm going to do all of them from the likes of Asus, MSI, Gigabyte, Inno3D and Zotac. So let's get into it, the one unboxing video to rule them all. Here we are in GPU heaven. I've got 12 different models to unbox, compare, and just straight up admire. I'm going to take a look at what's in the box, measure the dimensions, weigh them, take a look at the RGB lighting, and help you choose your next GPU. So let's kick it all off with Asus. It's so big. Briny for size. It's huge. I feel like seeing photos of how big it is and then actually holding it is insane. That is actually an entire PC, but it's a GPU. Why work against gravity when you can work with it? It's huge for sure. I've now unboxed both the Asus Strix Gaming OC and the Asus TUF Gaming OC. As you can tell, these are both massive graphics card. I couldn't believe the size as I was taking them out of the box. I remember the 30 series being absolutely huge on the Strix cooler, and this Strix 4090 is massive, and it's actually really heavy as well. It's like holding up to my head, and you kind of feel the weight against your arms. Like, I feel like Ian could definitely use this as a weight. So yeah, an absolutely amazing cooler design. They've kind of moved away from the black and grey design. They've gone for this like blue and red, which as overclockers we definitely approve of. You've got some nice peels on here of course as well, so let's get those off. I feel like you can definitely admire how shiny this card is now. But yeah, the main takeaway from the Asus cards to me is that they are absolutely huge. So I'll get the tape measure out in a moment and measure them and of course weigh them. In the box with both cards, you seem to also get this like little, I think is like a GPU support bracket. So because they are so huge, hopefully this is gonna help to take some of the strain off of your motherboard. It also doubles up as a screwdriver as well. So I guess when you're installing your graphics card, that'll come in really handy. But its main function is to obviously hold it up, try and prevent some of that GPU sag, because these are absolutely massive and very heavy cards. As you can see, I've also plugged in the adapters that come with these GPUs. So they of course have the new 12+4 pin connector, but if you're using an older power supply, one that's not ATX 3.0 compatible, they do come with these adapters. So each one of these cards, both the Tough and the Strix, actually has 4 PCIe connectors. So you're going to make sure that you have a really good high-end power supply to power the RTX 4090, as you'll find out in our more technical video with Ian. But it's really interesting to see, because you'll see as we go through the different graphics cards, some will have 4, which should mean that they're actually up to 600 watt boards, and some of them will have 3, which is like the 450 watt boards, because each one of these should be about 150 watts. So it's quite interesting to see between all the different models which card has which. Also, what we've noticed with these Asus cards is that even though they are huge, chunky, you would say that's actually like 4 slots thick, they do only actually have 2 brackets. To me, I think that's kind of a strange move. I'm gonna guess why Asus has done it, and I think it's because a lot of cases where you can like vertically mount your graphics cards, they'll only have space for like 2 PCIe like slots, particularly like Asus's own cases as well. So maybe that's why they've done that, as it's so you can more easily vertically mount your GPU. You don't need a case that is going to support like 3 or 4 PCIe brackets, because I mean, they do take up the same space as 4, but you technically don't need 4 on your case. But yeah, let's go ahead and measure them just to see how big they actually are. I've got a giant tape measure here. A 30cm ruler wouldn't do the trick because they really are that big. So let's take a look at how big the Strix card is. I think it's definitely one of the biggest 4090 coolers available. So going from the top there, you're looking at about like 36 centimeters, maybe more, between 35 and 36 centimeters long. And the depth as well, because I've noticed some of the spec lists online don't actually list the depth. So from like where the connector sits, because this connector is really rigid as well, you wouldn't want to actually bend that against the side of your side panel. You're going to want to make sure you actually have some clearance. So from like where the stiff part of the connector starts, all the way to like the back of the GPU, it's like 16 centimeters. So that is so deep. You're going to make sure you've got quite a hefty case to fit that in. And then also let's do the same for the Tough card. I love the design of these. The Tough actually is really nice. That's the same again. I'm gonna go from the stiff part of the connector. So you're looking more like 15 centimeters if you're kind of pushing that up right against your case, and also lengthwise. Slightly shorter than the Strix, more like 34 and a half centimeters. So still a really big card, but definitely smaller than the Strix. They are definitely huge, so let's go ahead and actually weigh them, because I cannot get over how heavy these cards are. Let's go with the Tough first. The Tough is weighing in, when the scale decides, at 2,250 grams roughly. It's kind of hovering around that mark. So that is like 2¼ kilos, which is absolutely crazy for a graphics card. And now let's weigh the Strix. Okay, and the Strix is weighing in at 2,360 grams, which is massive. That's nearly 2½ kilos. No wonder it feels so heavy when I was taking it out of the box. So yes, definitely very hefty, large, heavy GPUs. You're gonna need a strong motherboard for these. The design of them I really like. The Tough is obviously going to be the one to go for if you want a more plain design, a little bit less RGB lighting. It's obviously just the whole thing is grey and it's lovely. It feels finished really nicely. It's all metal, I think. Yeah, metal backplate. and even like all around the fan shrouds. Obviously triple fan cards as well, and these have these amazing chunky coolers on them with this gigantic pass-through. So think of all the airflow that's going to be pulled through that backplate, because the PCB actually ends here. So if you put like a water block on this card, you're actually like, it's so much shorter under here than the size of the cooler. Most of this is all cooler. So a huge pass through there on the Tough. Taking a look at the Strix, like I mentioned, you have this really beautiful like blue and red design. It might not be for everyone though, because if you're trying to go for like a black and green PC, for example, this definitely isn't going to fit in with your build. But the backplate is plain, so I mean that's probably what you're looking at most of the time anyway. Let's do a little peel. Very satisfying. You've got the like a big ROG logo, you've got the ROG eye here as well. It's got this lovely kind of textured finish to it. So once again, this looks like a really big like pass through, so it can pull lots of air through there. And the PCB once again ends around here, like just where the PCIe connectors go in. But I think both of these are really nice design, but one thing to consider, definitely you've only got 2 brackets on the back there. They've got 4 PCIe connectors and also both massive. So really nice design from Asus on their 4090s. Moving alphabetically along the list to Gigabyte. They've been really great at getting us loads of stock for launch. I've actually got 4 different models here. On the left, we have the Gigabyte Gaming OC and the Gigabyte Windforce. And on the right, we have the high-end Aorus Master and Aorus Extreme. The Aorus Extreme, I think, might actually be even bigger than the Strix. So I'm super excited to take a look at that one. But I'm going to do that one last, and I'm going to start off with these 2 here on the left. Another huge GPU. This is like the smallest one as well. So heavy. It's so big. It's a baby. Oh my God. And look at him. It's so cute. I now have the Gigabyte Windforce and the Gaming OC unboxed. The cooler design is actually very, very similar, but they are different as well. They do have variations. I think the Gaming OC has more RGB lighting on. You'll be able to tell when we actually like plug it in so you can see, but it looks like it's got like a Gigabyte logo here that lights up. And it also looks like it could be thicker as well, but once again, when we measure them, we'll know for sure. So in the box, you get, once again, the 12+4 pin adapter to the PCIe connectors. So if you're using them with an older power supply, you can. And it looks like Gigabyte, even on like the Windforce and the Gaming OC, which aren't like the high-end Aorus models, they still have gone for 4-pin connectors. So as I mentioned, that we reckon will do like 600 watts, the PCB, because some cards do have 3 PCIe connectors. You also get, with each GPU, a support bracket again. So just like Asus did, you get a support bracket, but Gigabyte have gone about it in a slightly different way. They do have a slightly different design. So for the Windforce, you kind of get this very traditional pole, which you might have seen before. This sits on like on your PSU shroud or like on the bottom of your case. And then this you can adjust up and down to kind of support your graphics card and prevent sag. This other one, I've never seen before. I can't see in the manual how you are meant to attach it, but I think this kind of attaches into one of the PCIe brackets at the back of your case. And then this kind of must slot in on here, and one way or another, it helps to support your GPU. So a slightly different design depending on which 4090 you decide to go for. The overall cooler design, as you can see, you've got triple fans on each graphics card. They're both black and grey, so very plain if you wanted them to match the rest of your system. You can see that you have Gigabyte here, which I think lights up on the Gaming OC, and then GeForce RTX there as well. And on the back plate, you've got GeForce RTX and big white Gigabyte text. The whole thing feels like metal on the back plate. But here around the fans, this is plastic. So on the Asus cards, they went for metal. But you've got this really nice triple fan design and, like I said, very plain. On the Windforce, I think it does have the same fans. No, very different fans actually. So very different fans on the Windforce, a smaller fan, I believe. So it looks like you get a smaller diameter fan. It does have a metal black backplate, but it doesn't feel quite as solid as the Gaming OC. I really like the design though. They've gone for Gigabyte in kind of this silver print. You've got GeForce RTX once again, Gigabyte along the front here, which is just printed on GeForce RTX. I can't tell from looking at it if it has any RGB lighting. So if you're looking for a plainer graphics card, I reckon this one will be the one to go for. It looks like you've got this big like area for pass-through cooling through the backplate on the Windforce. And the same thing goes for the Gaming OC as well. Loads of cooling on the end of the GPU. And once again, that PCB is actually quite short. Most of it is just cooler. Taking a look at the back of the cards, like I did with the Asus ones, you can see that these also only have a 2-slot PCIe bracket. So once again, I reckon the reason they've done that is so that they can be vertically mounted more easily. It has become a huge trend now to sort of show off your GPU. I can't really think of any other reason, because I'm sure these huge heavy graphics cards would really benefit from like a bit of extra support. A lot of the other models we're going to look at actually have a PCIe 3 bracket. They take up 3 slots. So yeah, that one is 2-slot on the Windforce, and just to double check the Gaming OC, yeah, that one is also 2-slot as well. So same as the Asus graphics cards, probably better for vertically mounting, but it's something to consider as well when you're choosing your graphics card, whether it's going to fit in your case or not. So the Windforce is quite a bit shorter than the Asus graphics card. So if you're working in a smaller case, this is going to be quite a good one to go for. So it looks like 33 centimeters long. And I'm going to measure the depth from using the connector as well, because once again, these are really stiff. You can't actually bend them. So you want to make sure that that's not going to be pushed up right against your case. And it looks like just under 15 centimeters deep. So not too deep either. That's actually quite a compact card as 4090s go. And then let's take a look at the Gaming OC, which is quite a bit bigger, quite a bit deeper as well. So lengthwise, we're looking at around 34 centimeters, 34.5 centimeters, and depth taking into account that big connector On the front there, you're looking at, once again, about like 15.5 centimeters, yeah, for the gaming OC. So very big coolers. I think we should weigh them as well to see how heavy they are. Let's do the Windforce first. It sounds so silly to say that's light for a GPU, but it's actually under 2 kilos. So that's 1,900 and around 35 grams. So definitely quite a bit smaller and quite a bit lighter than the Asus cards that we took a look at. And I'm gonna bet this one is gonna be heavier because it's a bigger card. So yeah, slightly heavier. That comes in at 2,060 grams, so just over that 2 kilo mark, which is crazy for a GPU, but it looks like it's becoming the norm. So that is it, the Gigabyte GPUs, well, at least 2 of them. Let's take a look at those awesome Aorus cards next. Now we have the Aorus Master and the Aorus Extreme, and it looks like I was actually wrong because the Aorus Extreme is a water-cooled card with a massive all-in-one cooler, and the Aorus Master is actually the super large air-cooled card. So with the Aorus Master and the Aorus Extreme, you do get a few little goodies in the box. The Aorus Master comes with the same GPU bracket as the gaming OC, so I didn't bother getting that out, but it helps to give it a little bit of extra support. As you can tell, this card also has the 4-pin PCIe connector, so like we said, we think that's up to 600 watts. With the Aorus Extreme, you get this very adorable little guy. He's a little Aorus mascot eagle, and he's in like the black and gold coloration to match this absolutely beautiful graphics card. So far, I must say, I think this is my favorite design. One, because it's black and gold and it just looks super nice. It's so clean, it's shiny, it's just a really great design. And also because of how compact it is. Look how small this graphics card is. If you're gonna be working in a bit of a tighter case maybe, although most small cases probably don't have support for a 360mm radiator, this might be one to consider. Also because it's gonna have crazy good cooling as well. We all know water cooling in most cases is better than air cooling, particularly for graphics cards, so a super nice design. And it also uses the 4-pin PCIe connectors as well, so like we said, we think that's up to 600 watts. Even with these bigger graphics cards, it looks like Gigabyte has actually opted to still keep the 2-slot PCIe bracket, so I'm shocked because the size of this graphics card, I'm pretty sure it's actually thicker than the Strix. It's massive and you've only got that little bracket on there, but I reckon that it's vertically mounting. With the water-cooled card, that obviously makes sense because it's much slimmer, it's much shorter, there's nowhere near as much weight on that as well. With this card, obviously the all-in-one cooler, you've got 3 really lovely fans, like 120mm fans. They've got the gold Aorus Eagle in the middle. You've got the braided cables on the tubes as well, and they go straight into the end of the graphics card. So I think that's gonna look fantastic in like any build. So I'm gonna get my tape measure out and let's measure them. It looks like it's going to be about like 35.5 centimeters long. It's obviously massively deep. Yeah, it's like 7 centimeters deep, so that's going to be equivalent of like a 4-slot card. And then also with this like extender, like the conversion connector, you've got like 15.5 centimeters as well. So it's you're gonna need a large case for sure. When it comes to cooling and just like the design, once again, you've got this massive pass-through through the end of the graphics card, so loads and loads of cooling. You've got 3 huge fans, really nice fans. You can tell these are Gigabyte's like high-end fans. The cooler itself though, that is actually plastic. So it's not metal like the Asus ones. The backplate is metal though, really nice kind of silver, shiny metal. You've got the Aorus Eagle, like the Aorus branding, GeForce RTX. And then on the front here, the side that you're probably gonna see, once again, you've got like Aorus across here in silver lettering, and it looks like you've got a little display there as well. So obviously we'll show you some B-roll of that all lit up. But overall, a really nice looking GPU. Get my tape measure out again. So it's a 360mm all-in-one cooler, so we know how big that one's going to be. Just to let you know the actual dimensions of the graphics card, we're looking at 24 centimeters. Not quite as deep as the others, about 14.5 to 15 centimeters. So definitely a much smaller GPU and obviously much slimmer as well. So possibility to fit it in a smaller case as long as you can get a 360mm all-in-one in there. Let's just see exactly how heavy this card is, because it is huge. Oh my God. I think it's just as heavy as the Strix, if not heavier. Do we have a new record holder? So 2,300 grams, so 2.3 kilos. That is massive. Very, very heavy card. All in those two little brackets on the back there. And we will measure the Aorus Extreme as well. It's going to be a little bit awkward, I think, to weigh. Okay, I think that's about 1 kilo, but obviously that's probably not very accurate. I need a bigger scale. It's heavy, like 2 kilos, I reckon. That's obviously it's probably very inaccurate, that, because it's the worst weighing ever, because it doesn't really fit on the scale. But as the little eagle just got killed. Oh, I'm so scared of this GPU. I'm just gonna put it there. Yes, very good, very heavy, very nice. So overall, I think Gigabyte, Aorus, their graphics cards, they've done a really nice job here. And like I said, we've got plenty of different models to choose from. All of these are in stock as well, which is very exciting. And yeah, I think a great choice. Moving on to Inno3D. As you can see, we have the X3 OC and the ICHILL. Ian 8-Pack Parry was so excited to open this graphics card, as you can see, and this is the one that he actually used for all of his testing as well. So make sure to go and check out that video if you want to see how it performs. But now what I'm going to do is unbox the X3 OC. So to my left, once again, we have the ICHILL already unboxed and the Inno3D X3 OC. So with these GPUs, the one thing that's, well, actually two things that I've noticed immediately is they're actually a 3-pin PCIe connector card. So rather than 4, you've actually got 3, which means that we think they're going to be like 450-watt board cards. It's the same with the ICHILL. You've also got a 3-pin PCIe connector on the back there, or of course the 12-pin. And also on the rear of the cards, you actually have a true 3-slot PCIe bracket. So this card actually feels quite compact compared to some of the others we've looked at, but it does have support for the whole width of the graphics card. So I think that's quite good. These are big, heavy graphics cards. It's going to put less stress on your case. Yeah, you get 3 on the back of that one, and I think it's the same for the ICHILL as well. So yeah, 3 PCIe bracket, 3-slot bracket. And once again, that's like the full thickness of the card. With the actual design, I really like what Inno has done with these. The X3 OC feels really nice. I think this is plastic, but it's made to look like a brushed metal. It's a very classy, very sleek design, quite understated. I think it's gonna look nice in any build. On the side here, I think you've got like a bit of the Inno3D logo, which actually lights up. And I love that the back plate is all black. and you've got the Inno3D logo, but it's very classy. I think they've done a really nice job with this card. The ICHILL is kind of at the opposite end of the spectrum. So because I've seen this one plugged in already and all lit up on Ian's test bench, it does have a lot of RGB lighting. And the RGB lighting as well, it has like the ICHILL branding and a lot of snowflakes as well, which might not be for everyone. You've got the same sort of on the triple fan cooler as well. There's more RGB lighting. It's quite a nice design, but once again, it's a bit more out there. It's a lot more garish, I guess, than the OC X3. And on the back, you've got a bit more like patination as well. You've got the big ICHILL branding, lots of like little triangles, GeForce RTX. But I do like the pattern that they've gone for here, like on the end of the card where you've got that big pass through like the other ones we've looked at. It's got quite a cool kind of triangular, like snowflake-esque design, which matches the rest of the GPU. And similar thing here, what they've done on the X3 OC. You've got this kind of cool pattern to make it just look a little bit smarter, but both really nice design cards. I'm now going to get the tape measure out. Lengthwise, you're looking at about 33.5 centimeters, which I'd say is definitely smaller than some that we've looked at. And depth-wise, including the connector, once again, it's actually about 15 centimeters, so probably a little bit slimmer than some of the cards we've looked at. Overall, really compact, and depth, you're looking at about 6 centimeters. That's a whole 1 centimeter thinner than the huge Aorus Master. Do the same with the ICHILL card, definitely a little bit bigger, I think. So that one's about 33.5 centimeters, and depth-wise, you're looking about, once again, probably about 15.5 centimeters, so not too bad. But yeah, obviously both big hefty cards as we've come to expect from the 4090. Let's get the scales out. Starting off with the X3 OC. Oh, that actually seems quite lightweight. Surely that's not on there properly. Okay, yeah, that's actually, I think that's our lightest card so far. So that's 1,800 grams, so 1.8 kilograms, well under that 2 kilogram mark. And it's also got the most support on the back there as well. So yeah, quite a nice design by Inno3D. The ICHILL is definitely a lot heavier, so a lot more metal under the cooling. And yeah, this one comes in at just over 2 kilos, so 2,084 grams on that one. So yeah, definitely quite a bit heavy on the ICHILL, and definitely a bit of a thicker cooler there as well. So yeah, both really nice cards. I think Inno3D has done a great job of the design. You've got the slightly more sleek, classy, I guess, OC X3. I really like the kind of coloration they've gone here. Or if you want something a bit more out there, a bit more RGB lighting and a bigger cooler, lots of performance, you've got the ICHILL card. Moving along the line to MSI, and we have the Suprim X in stock for launch day. So that's the model that I'm going to be unboxing, and I must say, just looking at the outside of the box, it looks absolutely stunning. So let's get into it. Okay, this is definitely my favorite. Holy shit. Ooh. Oh my god. The peel is like a 1 out of 10, but the actual GPU. Holy shit, that's so pretty. I would like to say that I am absolutely in love with this graphics card. If you were buying a graphics card on aesthetics alone, the Suprim is stunning. I want one. It's amazing. I wish I had enough money to afford this. It is absolutely beautiful to look at. The whole design is like this beautiful brushed metal finish, and it feels so high quality, so premium, and just the coloration as well, like the silver with the gold. Just look at that black backplate. I already peeled the plastic off because I just couldn't wait. It's It is stunning. I want one so badly. It weighs a lot as well. You can tell that it's made of full metal. You've got like the triple fan cooler on the front here. You've got like the MSI Dragon in silver, all this beautiful shiny silver metal. On the other side, you also have this logo, which I'm pretty sure is going to light up RGB. It's very classy. I love the like Supreme text that they've gone for. The GeForce RTX in white. It is just, it's beautiful. Whoever designed this graphics card did such a great job just on the aesthetics alone. The cooling, like I said, also looks great. You've got like a triple fan cooler. You've got a big pass-through on the back here like you have with some of the other graphics cards. It's probably not actually as big as some of the others that we've seen. This possibly lights up here, which is why you've not got as much airflow through the cooler. You've got this little area here. There's a switch down here between silent and gaming mode, so it looks like you can change the different options, and overall just absolutely stunning. So the connector is a 4-pin PCIe connector, so like I've been saying, we think that's 600 watts, and the bracket on here as well is also 3 slots. So it will take up 3 slots in your case, but it is actually also like a 4-slot card as well. It's a big chunky one. It's definitely a lot deeper than those Inno3D cards. In the box, also, as you can tell, you do get some goodies. So we have here, this is the GPU support bracket. It's actually really nice. It's probably the nicest one we've seen so far. You've got the Supreme branding on the top, nicely engraved to tell you the name of it, like rubber base on it. Actually feels quite good, and it's gonna come in handy because this graphics card is hefty. Also, a mouse mat, and I like the design of this. It's probably a little bit gimmicky, but I mean, when you spend this much on a graphics card, it's always nice to get some freebies with it. And a genuinely nice design, even if it's not for everyone. But yeah, absolutely beautiful. Let's get the tape measure out and see how big it is. The depth of this GPU, it's definitely a big one. It's about 7.5 centimeters, which is huge. So a very deep GPU. And lengthwise, around 33 centimeters. So yes, big. And across, I've not actually plugged the connector in. It's actually, because the way the connector kind of recesses into the cooler here is quite clever. I think it's a little bit shallower than some of the cards. So it's about 14.5 centimeters. So even though it's very thick and very long, depth-wise, it's not actually too bad. So if you're worried about clearance against your side panel, that's not too bad. So now let's weigh it. We have a new champion. 2,426 grams. That is definitely the heaviest graphics card we have measured so far or weighed so far. That's like 2.5 kilos. It's basically a newborn baby. I think that's like 6 pounds, and babies definitely come out like that. So yeah, it's a newborn baby. It could be my baby. I absolutely love this graphics card, and I think MSI have done a brilliant job. Moving on to the final trio, and they are from Zotac. We've got the Zotac Amp Extreme AIRO, the Trinity OC, and the Trinity. I must say these boxes are very slippery. They did cause us a few issues when we were building our pyramid, but I cannot wait to unbox them and take a closer look. Oh, Jesus. Got the same bracket. Oh, that one's got 4-pin. Ooh. Okay. That one definitely looks different. It's all gold and shiny. Oh my god, it's got like... The Zotac cards are now unboxed, and as you can see, they have rather a unique organic shape. Me personally, as a woman, they remind me of something that isn't great, but I know some people also really like the shape of these cards. They're just not for me personally. Obviously the AMP Extreme AIRO, this one has the really big, very kind of special looking cooler. You've got the triple fans across the front, you've got a gold bronze design on each fan, and you have this rather crazy looking like pearlescent rainbow strip across the front here. I'm not sure if this lights up, but you will see in our B-roll whether it does or not. On the back plate, you've got the big Zotac logo, GeForce RTX, live to game, and then once again that huge like chunk of cooling on the end of the card where you can get lots of airflow through to those fans. We're familiar, we've seen that loads of times by now. Also looking at this card, you can see that it does have a 4-pin PCIe connector. So it's the same like what we think that for is it's a 600 watt card. So you can obviously, it will give the card more power. And also on the end here, you can see that it is a 3-slot PCIe bracket. And I'd say it's nearly a true 3-slot card. It is a little bit thicker, but it's actually not crazy for like their high-end card. It's definitely not as huge as some of the others that we've seen. Moving down to the Trinity. The Trinity and the Trinity OC, they kind of look like twins. I'm pretty sure it's the exact same cooler, but the way that you can tell them apart is that you have a PCIe 4 connector on the OC edition and a PCIe 3 connector on the regular Trinity. So that's definitely something worth considering if you're comfortable with overclocking your card, you want a bit more extra performance, as long as the silicon allows, then it might be worth going for the OC edition if you want to go for that. Also, the cooler design is quite a bit different, I'd say, to the AIRO. You've got some different looking fans, they're silver instead of bronze. Both shrouds are plastic, even on the AIRO as well. You do get a plastic shroud, so it's not like the Supreme card. It looks like you've got like RGB lighting across the front here with Zotac Gaming, whereas you don't have that on the AIRO. You've got GeForce RTX. And one thing I did notice with these cards, and it doesn't seem like any of the manufacturers have actually done that I've seen, is that they do have a warning about this new kind of extension cable and the new like 12-pin connector, which just tells you like how you should connect it to your power supply using individual cables, just to be a bit careful with it, and obviously don't turn the touch the graphics card when it's turned on. So I thought that was quite handy. It's nice that they have thought of that. On the back plate, you can see we have the Zotac logo, but rather than on the AIRO card where it's white, possibly RGB, this one is just painted on in like a purple and kind of blue color. So it does have some color on here, but it is mostly like a black and silver card. You've got Live to Game, GeForce RTX, and once again, that big area on the end here where you've got loads of cooling, loads of airflow. And yeah, these two are twins, and they are a true 3-slot card, I'd say. You've got the 3-slot PCIe bracket, and they do kind of fit within that as well. So not hugely thick compared to some of the others we've seen, but I will get the tape measure out so we can measure them. Starting with the Trinity. You're looking at around 35 centimeters. So even though it does kind of drop off towards the end there, it does stick out quite far. I'd say 35 to 35 and a half. So actually one of the longer cards we've seen. Depth-wise, including the extension cable, you're looking at about nearly 15 centimeters, like 14.7 to 15 centimeters deep. And the height, you're looking about 7 centimeters again, similar to the other cards that we've looked at. Those two are twins. And then we'll take a look at the AIRO as well. Does stick out quite a bit further than the back plate. So this one is about 36.5 centimeters, including the extension, about 15 centimeters. And then the depth roughly about 7.5 centimeters, so a little bit deeper. And now I will get the scales out so we can weigh them. Okay, so the regular Trinity comes in at 1,980 grams, so just under 2 kilos. I will weigh the OC just to see if there is a difference, but I'm pretty sure that it's the same cooler. 1,994 grams, but that could just be the accuracy of my scales and also the extra connector as well, so really not much in it. And just over 2 kilos at 2,081 grams. So out of all the GPUs we've looked at, it looks like Zotac cards are definitely a little bit on the lighter side. Even their super high-end, like extreme AIRO, it's definitely a little bit thinner, a little bit lighter than some of the other cards, and you also get more support as well from the larger PCIe bracket. You do get a GPU support bracket in the box as well. I'm gonna go with it's probably the most disappointing out of the cards we've looked at. It is a bit flimsy, like even with the high-end card, you still get the same bracket, which is slightly disappointing. But out of all the GPUs, they're probably one of the lighter ones, so hopefully they won't have too much sag. But yeah, not really pretty. You might wanna get like an aftermarket one if you're looking at mounting this card in your case. But overall, I like them. I think Zotac's done a good job if you're into this shape. The quality feels quite good. They're going to have RGB lighting on them. But yeah, it's just, for me personally, as a woman, I mean, there's probably other ladies watching will know why and what they look like. But it's nice they've done something different. And yeah, overall, definitely worth considering. And I'm sure this card has loads of performance. So there we have it, the ultimate Nvidia RTX 4090 unboxing video. Like I said, every single one of these cards is available at Overclockers UK on launch day, and I love them. I think it's crazy how big they are, but every time new tech comes out, I'm so excited. I can't believe I'm doing this for my job. I've just unboxed 12 GPUs, so this is brilliant. I'm riding a bit of a high right now. So just as a bit of a summary, I would say like the biggest cards are definitely like the Aorus Master or just the Gigabyte cards in general. They're huge with giant coolers, so it'd be really exciting to see the performance of those. Inno3D are a little bit more compact. The Zotac cards are somewhere in the middle. Asus cards, both the Tough and the Strix, both huge, chunky coolers. And my personal favorite, the Supreme. We of course have that water-cooled Aorus card as well. I've not put that on the table because it's a little bit more delicate, but that's nice if you want something a little bit more compact. And I think MSI will be bringing out a liquid Suprim X as well if you want a water-cooled card. We just don't have it right now. But yeah, my personal favorite is the Supreme. I obviously want to know which one you like the most out of like the design, what you think of the performance, like which one you're likely to go for. If you're opting to buy an RTX 4090, one thing to consider as well is obviously the fact that we've mentioned they all require different power connections. They also support different PCIe brackets, therefore different cases. And we have put all of this on our website as well. So check out the ATX 3.0 power supply section if you want a power supply that supports the new 12-pin connector. And also check out our dedicated RTX 4090 compatible cases. These are huge GPUs, so we've put together a list of cases that should support them. So that's going to be really helpful if you also need to upgrade your power supply and your case in order to get one of these GPUs. And of course, check out our video with Ian 8-Pack Parry if you want to find out how they perform in gaming benchmarks and of course those professional workloads. Yeah, let me know in the comments below which one is your favorite. Let me know what you thought of this unboxing video with £20,000 worth of GPUs on the table here in front of me, so absolutely brilliant. Give this video a big thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Obviously, this has been quite a lot of work for the team here. We've made 2 RTX 4090 videos for launch day, so we want to know if you want to see more of this content. So make sure to subscribe, make sure to comment, and I'll see you again in the next one.